Episode 44. Epic Lunch and
44.
Learn. 44 is crazy. It just keeps
Man,
coming.
if you subtract 2 from 44, you get 42, huh?
You get
And
42.
I think that's the Bears record of 4-2.
Hey, I like how you got there. I like how
You like that?
got there.
Hope you enjoyed the game, bud, with the
Yeah.
family.
I like that. It was great. It was my kid's first Bears game. They went last year with me. We were out in Vegas, and so we saw the Raiders versus the Steelers. That's their first forever game. But then we went to the Bears game this year. I thought they were ready, and it was great. We got there early. Obviously, it was raining, but it wasn't really bad. It wasn't super windy, and but I don't know if they moved the kids club into the inside. We were walking around outside looking for this thing like southeast lawn, but we ended up going inside, and got some food and made it through, and the rain literally stopped right at 12 o'clock on the
Yeah,
button.
I mean, I looked outside. I was like, oh, it's 12:30. Looks like the sun's going to break through. And then I'm like, oh, it did. So that's good. You weren't up in the 300 sections, were you?
Yeah. I was in that arena. Yeah,
it's always a worry about the wind when you're up there, but it wasn't one of those days.
It wasn't one of those days. It was good, and it was Soldier Field. I was doing some research. It's the smallest stadium in in the NFL, 61,500. So, and the parking is horrendous, and those are the reasons why something had to be done over this huge fandom that they have, this song that they play every time they score. I mean, just yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
We don't want to hear my vocal cords try to get that done.
My goodness. So I don't know. Hey, they won, and they looked like 2016 Bears, right? To win like that. Hey, defense running the ball.
It's still the Saints. Let's hold back. I'm happy we're 4-2.
Always.
Right? We could potentially be 8-2. We could go undefeated in the month of October and November, but then December turns into a hell of a schedule.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said right here, 3 more games, and you got to win 3 out of 4 if you want to have a shot. You should be 6-3 after 9, and then you got a hellacious final 8, or was that 9, 8? Yeah, final 8 games left to go. Hellacious.
Yeah, I mean, granted, right? In the next coming weeks, we get to play the Giants. We get the Ravens.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Got Cincinnati. I mean, but now look, you got Falco coming up. I said whatever, right? It was Shane. Right. I meant Joe Flacco, not Falco from the Replacements. but it's all relative to the same. So we got a chance, right? There's a chance, but then obviously December turns into being ugly. We got to go to Philly, right?
Go to San Francisco. You got the Packers twice. You got to still deal with the Lions come here, which is nice. Got to go to Minnesota.
So, I mean, like I said, the last half of the season's horrendous, like you said.
Yeah. So, we got Pittsburgh coming to town.
Yeah, right? And then, it is what it is. I know we lost our guest today. I was thinking we kind of just freestyle it to the audience, kind of do something a little different. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes freestyle is good. Just having a conversation about real estate mortgages is always important. Hopefully we'll get that guest again. Happy birthday. But yeah, obviously stuff came out today. In real estate, man, every day is a different day.
Every day's a new day, right?
Man. And, obviously with the weather in the Midwest right now, what is it? I got, what is it, 59 degrees?
Yeah, I'm sitting
in the sun.
Looking at 60. So I mean, yeah, I'll take it on October 20th.
Yeah,
I mean, the leaves are still green on them, and they're still on the tree, right? That's the other thing, right?
Yeah,
haven't even had that yet.
It's getting colder though. You definitely can feel it. It's getting cold.
I took the air conditioner out of the window, knowing that I'm probably not going to need the second one, right? So that was done over the weekend. With that being said. So what I kind of always teased Dante about doing, and since we lost our guest today, we've been doing this for a little while. I don't know how many people are listening right now, but
94.
94. So it's early, right? Mm-hmm. throw some comments in. Let us know some things maybe you guys want to talk about along the way. And this way, it's not always us kind of doing what we're going to do.
Yeah, this would be a show where maybe we'll take the questions and Q&A up front right now and just kind of string it along all the way through. Normally, we kind of talk for the first 30 minutes on a topic, and then we open up for Q&A. But if you do have a topic or something that you're curious about, obviously, we're in the fall market, and so the weather is always a staple of a reminder in the Midwest. We are still dealing with the government shutdown, right? I think we're in week 3. So that's still a thing, and that's hard too with the government shutdown, because we're not able to really get all the reports that we're used to getting. We get so inundated with all these reports, and now we're not getting the information. So we really, what information can we get, and can we figure out about this market?
Well, I mean, in that case, right, we're missing some of the economic data. But on the good news, the market's still hanging in there. We haven't had any real big turndowns. We are in the middle of earnings seasons. But on the real estate side, one of the most important things here is that 10-year is getting under 4%.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we need to see, right? We still have limited inventory to worry about, and we still have prices, but rates are at least trending lower. And that's going to continue. The one thing I'm afraid of is everyone's going to say, well, I'm going to wait now for it to go lower. Right. And I think we need to work on teaching and educating how to use what's going to be a lower rate market over the next 18 months to get people off the sidelines, and working on how to do seller concessions or how to structure a deal. Maybe you take a little higher rate today, knowing that maybe lower in a year from now, where you can take an opportunity for a refi. I think the realtors and the loan officers need to really get together and work on that in the earlier process of your buyers looking to buy.
I agree with that. I think, well, I always feel like the market wants to trend lower when it comes to interest rates anyway. And then it's really the news and the reports that, actually say, nope, can't go that low. We got to go the different direction. So without, with this government shutdown, without, actually this information, I think we are going to see, rates continue to go lower and lower and lower, and they're going to test, certain levels. And then it's going to be, once everything is back going, assuming that we ever get back to that point, that would be the interesting move, because I think, we're always tentative of that knee-jerk reaction, like, oh my God, this report comes out, and then that might, have us moving trajectory going up. But you made a point right there. It's so, sometimes from a loan officer, right, it's so frustrating. You've been talking to this person for months, right? Or for weeks. And you're saying, hey, we should do this. We should do this. And they're hemming and hawing because, well, I'll just wait until the rates go a little bit lower. I'll just wait and then the rates finally go lower. And then they want to play Vegas. Let's wait until see how low can they go. And it's like, dude, take the win.
Correct. Right.
Take the win.
Correct. I got a prospect sitting out there looking to buy a house in Mount Prospect. And she looked at a house a couple times, and they lowered the price. And when the week before they lowered the price, I said, go throw an offer on there. And she's like, well, the offer is low. I said, yeah, they're asking $425, and we're putting an offer in at $4. Been on the market since June. See what happens. You don't need it today. You weren't looking to buy until December. But see what happens. She got a text from a realtor. They dropped the price to $420 going into this weekend. Got a text this morning. They'll consider $410. So my point to that is, if you don't ask, you don't know. And I strategically told the girl, let's put the offer in, because if they don't come back and they don't get any offers, they know your offer is there. Now, granted, they could use that as a leverage play, but if they're coming back to you, that means we're getting closer and closer to your price.
Sure.
Right. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here to make all parties come together. And without putting the offers out there, you don't have the conversation. You don't have the opportunity for them to say, well, we're going to pass on this for now, but maybe we'll come back to it in 2-3 weeks.
What are some negotiating tactics that you would say right now from a buyer's perspective would be good? I mean, to your point that you were going with that storyline.
So, I mean, I hit on the seller concessions. I mean, market timing is longer than what it's been. It's still short, but it's a lot. It's longer than what we've been accustomed to, right? And I don't think the industry has changed to what we need to go to. We can sit here and say it's kind of becoming a buyer's market, but it's really still a seller's market, right? Because people have made so much money on their home.
Sure.
It's the question of where they want to give up that position of selling that house. And again, got to take the emotion out of it. It's business. We have another deal that the house came in 15 grand light on an appraisal, right? House was listed at 477. They bid it up to 495 and it appraised for 480. And now we're having a discussion on what we're going to do. Well, very simple. If I'm the buyer, we're sitting at 480, right?
Correct.
You asked for 495. We bid it up to I'm sorry. You asked for 475. We bid it up to 495 because that's what it takes in the marketplace today. Unfortunately,
correct.
We've gotten away from it where we're throwing quotes, and then we're sitting behind saying, "Well, when the appraisal comes in, we'll talk about it." Right? And the point to that to the consumer is it's just part of the game, and I don't mean the game of anyone's trying to push you into buying a house. There's so many unknowns of buying a house that you can't anticipate everything that goes wrong.
Well, that's the seller is always interesting in that regard, right? You put it on the market for 475. You had multiple bid situations get you up, so 475, when you agree to a sales price, that's the number that you ultimately would like to hit. And now you're going to go up to 495. Value comes in at 480 and you're mad.
Right. Because the emotion's there. Oh, I was going to get 15 grand more, blah, blah. Yeah, but no, and then that takes into play the buyer's financial situation. I don't want to get into that at this point, right?
Sure.
But it comes into how much more down payment did they have? If it's someone that had a limited down payment, now that changes the terms, right? My buyer has options, but they have to decide what they want to do, right?
Sure.
And he's struggling with it. Hey, am I really paying more? And in the end of the day, we're talking about 3%,
right,
of the overall, right? Like, let's just figure it out.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Definitely in these. I kind of, it's intrinsic value versus, intrinsic value valuation. Like if you can't touch it, it's not real. Like this is monopoly stuff. It's monopoly money until it becomes real. And so people have to kind of understand that, and have to strictly business. If you're going to sell something for 475 and it's going to wind up being 480, you're still winning.
Correct.
And take the win and move on. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's petty in my eyes. I don't know how other ways to say it, but it's just like, I don't get it.
Well, we're kind of desensitized to it because we see it all the time, right? And I mean, and that's the other thing, right? And then from the agent standpoint, and not out there, and this is in no respects a dig, right? You wouldn't have had the listing if you might have told the person, I think the house is worth 470, or I think the house is 480, right? Everyone's in that game, right? And it's just, here's the facts, here's what it is. As an agent, you put it on the market for 475, hoping to get multiple bids. Great, you got them. But then again, you knew that once you go over 480, from a professional standpoint, you have to be questioning, is it going to actually make it, right?
Correct.
And did you not set up your seller to have that conversation of, let's not get too excited yet, because I don't know if it's here, but at least we have it on paper. Right. So.
And I think about buyers right now, like who's out there in the marketplace. Got a guy looking at a multi-unit building, and he has 4 kids, but they're all small, and they're all kind of, under 6 years old, because it's harder to move people during the school year.
Sure.
So I would imagine you have a lot of single people that might be out there as a potential buyer. You may have a fiance, a wife with no kids situation. We have a family, a husband and wife, no kids. I think she might be pregnant, but they are closing on their first home on Friday. And so, it's just in this market time, who is the avatar, who is the buyer. And, for the most part, it's maybe someone that's going to be looking to start a family. It's someone that's single. And I think those, having a better understanding from at least a realtor perspective, they know who to target and who to talk to, because, some of those, hey, we got 4 or 5 kids. They're all, 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah, you'll see them in June. You'll
Right.
see them in
Yeah,
May.
absolutely. I mean, it just kind of, I brought up a client's potential here coming up. She's a school teacher. She doesn't want to move in the middle of the school year, but we're trying to time it where she can use her Christmas break to
Correct.
move, right?
Correct.
So, basically told her we got 45 days, right?
Yeah.
Because right? I mean, that's really what's left in the year, right? For us in real estate, that's it. If you're not under contract by November 15th, you're going into 2026. Right? I know my guy sitting with the headphones on, he's got a clock. At the 10th of every month, he looks at what he's going to push to close. And right. I turn around and say by the 14th or the 15th of November, it's my birthday. If you ain't got a contract, it ain't closing, right? Just look at it like that. Enjoy the rest of the year, not take it off, but from a business standpoint, to buying a house, it's not getting done. Not saying Dante won't push to get them done.
Of course.
If the contract's not there, it's not getting done.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the 10th of the month has always been like this magical number in our space, because most months have, obviously 30 days. And so on the 10th, that would virtually give you 20 days, which is basically 3 weeks, a week worth of appraisal, a week worth of conditions. And then, but everything to some degree has to run smoothly in that 3-week time frame. You can't have any hiccups because, also too, you have the underwriters, and underwriters have a stack of files, and you're in line. And so no matter how much you want to push, sometimes we can't move that file ahead of someone else's. It's they go usually by FIFO, first in, first out. So depending, and all these lenders for the most part are becoming national lenders. I mean, they're lending in, virtually, 46 to 50 states.
Well,
so
look at you at Epic. You're lending in what, 10? Right?
9,
I mean,
9 right now. 9.
I mean, it's the nature of the business, right? It's what you
Correct.
need to do, right? I mean,
Correct.
The net needs to go bigger. You need to go wider, and you need clients from everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, solid LOs, like your top 20% of LOs, they're licensed in 4 states, minimum. They're not the old school local lender only licensed in 1 state. I mean, that's gone. That really is.
Well, that's because this has changed that market, right?
100%.
Real estate's still local, but the reach is so much easier.
Correct. Right? And local is important when it comes to a realtor, and I've always felt like that. I mean, I love the 1980s realtor, that you drove to the Century 21, you parked, you signed some form waiver, and then you got in the car with your realtor, and then they drove you to these houses, and they told you about the city. They told you about the town and the church, and the nosy neighbor, and the wild parties and what have you. They told you everything you needed to know, versus this more regional based realtor who doesn't really know. They're going to meet you there. I got to drive there. You got to drive there. And then we're going to meet each other. What if you're late? You got stuck in traffic. What if I'm late? I got stuck in traffic. And now I'm asking you about the location in the area. You have no clue.
Correct.
You live in Plainfield. I live in Algonquin, and we're meeting in
Schaumburg.
Schaumburg. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's part of how things have evolved and things have changed. But, I mean, and we've talked about this, too, in the grand scheme of things. And granted, last week we talked about broker banker. In the mortgage world, we have something called the wholesale AE, which we've talked about, that it almost turns into being a centralized in-house sales position where people can kind of just call in and ask questions and structure loans. That's where our market's going to go in time. But we're not going to do that today. But
sure.
It's just kind of one of those things. The real estate game is going to sit there. Compass now has a third of the real estates under their umbrella with the acquisition of everywhere or anywhere.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that topic was brought up last week, and obviously everyone wants to have the crystal ball of like, where's real estate going to go? And obviously I did a monologue about AI and stuff like that, and just some of the nuances. And even when I get interviewed, people ask like, oh, what do you think real estate is going to be in 5 years from now? And you know, we probably are going to get rid of underwriters. I mean, reality, we'll have one kind of manager of underwriters, but underwriting is going to be changed forever.
Yeah.
Less mistakes, and that's the thing too. How many people have bought a house that weren't supposed to buy that house? That something was missed, something was overlooked, and we know it as post-funding conditions. And sometimes these post-funding conditions we can't really accommodate. Like, you screwed up, not me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't have that documentation.
The client's just not returning the call. There's that too that comes into play.
Sure.
But looks like we're hitting some questions early. Maybe we want to try and do that, or you got something else to add?
No, let's do that. Let's see where they take us. Kenneth, thanks for breaking this down so clearly. Super valuable episode. I hope so, Ken. We're kind of just going off the top, but we got a little flow to it. Thanks. How can new agents apply these fall market strategies effectively? Yeah, you were talking about some fall market stuff. I mean, I guess, there's two sides of the fence, right? We have the buyer side, and what I'm hearing from you is, basically seller credits, and also too, I don't think you said it exactly, but like in my head, what I heard you say was like overlooked properties that have been on the market for a period of time. Look at those and see how you can kind of work those out. I mean, recently I've gotten a rash of renovation loans, where, all these homes, some of these homes that have been on the market for a little bit longer need some TLC. And, some people are willing now to do some of that renovation. And, as long as you're working with someone that knows how to do it, it doesn't have to be a 60-day close date. We can get these done within 30 to 45 days.
Yeah. I mean, the concessions are a big thing. Obviously that house that I was talking about, Mount Prospect, came back on the market, then was off the market, back on the market. Not that anything's wrong with that, but there's a story there, right?
Right.
Especially if the seller's already moved out. Now they're probably committed to another mortgage payment. So now that they may not be desperate to sell, but they're looking more aggressively because they've already left the home, right?
Sure.
Like if a house is vacant, I mean, that's a buyer's advantage. Let's just put it that way, right? If they've already sold or they had financing that fell through and the house is empty. For newer agents, and again, I'm not on the real estate side that often. I mean, I have my pool of realtors, but nothing too big. I would say for newer agents in this market, you got to concentrate on one or the other. And I would say just concentrate on buyers. You'll get listings in a couple of years.
I mean, from listings, I think I'm seeing, or at least I'm hearing more of staging. Staging these homes are important, removing some of the heartfelt things, especially, in this so sensitive market that we're in right now. Sensitivity levels are at an all-time. You have to kind of remove that personalized touch that you've kind of created for your home and just make it, a blank canvas. Let people, envision what they need to envision, in order to buy your house.
Yeah. I saw someone had black countertops and they made a comment. I don't know what forum I was looking at, but they're like, oh, change it to white. And I was like, well, and granted, this is Vince just being sarcastic, right? Don't do anything. Keep the black countertop on one, not the Formica, the actual granite, and put contact paper on the other side that's white. And then this way they can compare which one they like better, right? Because the post said that the realtor said, hey, change the countertops. It'll add $30,000 to your sales price.
Oh, my God.
Right? Like, that's not going to happen in today's market, right?
No.
If you don't like the countertops, you're gonna beat me up on the price, or you're gonna turn around and say, I'll throw you $5,000 for a concession. You can put your own new countertops in. Now, granted, it was clearly white cabinets with black countertops.
Right.
Someone wanted the black and white, but that's a small market, right?
Exactly. And we had Dennis Greco on last week, and Dennis was great because he was talking about for sellers, encouraging them to basically do an inspection and do some of the work up front to minimize some of this negotiating tactics, because the home inspection has really changed over the years. I mean, it used to be, hey, buyer, this is the house you're going to be buying. We want to make sure that you're aware of these items that you're going to be walking into, so you have a idea to, position your money, save, because this is going to last for a year, or this is going to last for 2 years. But now it has grown into more of a situation where you're seeing people just using this just blatantly as well, I'm not doing anything. I want to move in ready. I want to move in house, brand new house. And this is not new construction. This is an existing home.
Right.
There's going to be TLC that's going to be done. Don't you want to put your touch on it? And we have a situation. We got a deal closing tomorrow, and it was basically it was a as is, which meant nothing. The guy was going FHA, so it was silly. And we had items that had to be addressed. And at first, the deal was going to die because the seller was like, absolutely not. I don't want to do the work. And then, obviously that light bulb popped in their head like, oh, I'm losing a buyer? Wow.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
And the next buyer potentially could be using FHA financing.
Correct.
And I would have to do these then. So I'm not going to lose 2 buyers. So
Correct.
let's work to get it done, right?
Correct. And so,
Right.
so they did the work, but they decided, like, let's just say it was 5 things, and they decided to do 4 out of the 5, and they just assumed that might be overlooked. I mean, it was kind of silly, and so the appraiser's like, yeah, 4 out of the 5 things are done, but not this one. So then we had to order another final inspection. Finally, they did it, and then we got the clear to close, and we're closing out tomorrow. So it's just one of those crazy situations, though. Like
$200 every time the appraiser has to go back out there.
Exactly.
$200.
$200, and so the guy spent what, $650 on an appraisal, $400 on final inspections, and then and it's just a cruel world, because it's like, he's like, Dante, who's going to pay for this? You. Well, is that right? No, it is not right.
No, right.
Morals and ethics. No, it's not right. But at the end of the day, it's your lender that is asking for this items to be addressed, and you're getting the financing. And so it's on you, unless you want to negotiate. But, we were fortunate enough for the seller just to do the work.
Yep.
So it is something. So let me go here. Any advice for buyers waiting for mortgage rates to drop?
I think we talked about that a little bit, right? Like, again, the changes to the real estate market and to the interest rates are 6 to 8 months out in the realistic terms of when you're going to actually see the rate cuts take effect, truly take effect, that make it make sense. So in that avenue, if you have a buyer today that wants to buy a house and sitting there and is waiting, right, and we talked a little bit about this, you can turn around and say, hey, it's a great time to buy. Inventory is a little bit heavier. It's the season where things kind of slow down. Let's look at a house that's been on the market for a little while, and maybe you look to do a buy down, right? And then you're buying the rate down for a year or two, and you're giving your potential buyer the opportunity to see where the market can go to, and he's getting what the projected rate will probably be in 6 to 8 months down the line. Maybe you want to add a little bit to that, because I know I kind of summed it up instead of.
Well, I mean, for one, the house that you like today is not available June 2026.
Ooh, that's a good one. I forgot to throw that one in there.
I mean, so
bottom line, it ain't going to be there.
It's not going to be there. So, I mean, yes. And you said earlier that, homes are lasting longer on the market, which is true, right? We're seeing them closer to, maybe 34 days, so a month that they're actually on the market. But that house is not going to be on there for 6 to 8 months. So, the first thing is, hey, what do you want? What do you want to buy? So I question when I see that type of question, I'm questioning, are you not seeing what you want out there? Because if you're seeing what you want, 4-bed, 2-bath, in this certain school district or in this area, you got to go grab it. Because I mean, some of the nicer areas, I'm thinking like Oak Park, Illinois, for one. I got a lady that's in Oak Park. She's getting divorced. And so when she gets divorced, she wants to stay in the same school area and district. And based on the scenario, she's going to have to sell, unfortunately. And so when she's selling the property, she's looking for something in her neighborhood. And it's just, it's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough sledding.
that's tough. I mean, granted, that's going to be tough to do depending on the financials of being able to keep a house within the same school district, going
Exactly.
down to one income in those locations, right? But you touched on it. It's a divorce situation too, so it makes it more difficult. But
Yeah.
yes, you're not going to find there. There may be a couple houses in your area, but you don't have choices, right?
Correct.
That is your choice. That's the only one available.
Correct. And so that, and with that being said, that's where it's like you just have to go. And it's marry the house, date the rate, marry the house type of thing. Fall in love with the house, get it, and then you can always look to refinance in the 6 to 8 months once rates do dip. But even economists, which kind of surprised me a little bit, and I was kind of curious on like why this information came out now. But they were like, well, FHA economists say, or economists in general say mortgage rates will be hovering around 6%, by the end of 2026. And that's kind of where we are right now. So I was like, man, that's a little high. So you're not really seeing a dip?
Yeah, I mean, granted, you're still going to have people. There's still too many people sitting at fours, right? I mean, well, I was going to almost say the toilet's not going to get flushed fast enough. But I mean, that's basically what we're doing, right? We're a couple of years to being able to flush everything out where just life changes create the buying opportunities and everything.
Sure.
Go with it. My anticipation is somewhere at 5.5 would be the bottom of where rates will be in 26.
Sure.
And they'll sit between the 6 and 5.5, which is a great opportunity for those who bought a house at 7 or 7.5 to lower your rate.
Correct. Because if you are if you're saying the average is 5.5, that means with a buy down potentially, you could potentially get 4.99. That'll be hovering around 4.875, which would be beneficial. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that from year 2000, 2010 to 2020, the average rate was 4%. In that decade, and that was probably if we look in time, that was the lowest decade of mortgage interest rates that we've ever had.
Yeah.
So and that's what all of our eyes got adjusted to, this 4% or less scenario. And so now above it, oh my God, rates are so high, and they're not. But I mean, it's the prices that are high.
It's the prices.
And timing is important on taking advantage of getting the house that you want. And because the valuations of homes generally have been even steadily 4% appreciation every year. So if you're waiting longer just to pay more, I mean, so you got to consider that as well.
I mean, you're looking at every 15 grand is probably about $80 a month.
Yeah, every 10,000, $60 is normally what I say. All right, let's see. We got something else here. What's the best way to position listings when competition is low? What is the best way to position listings when competition is low? What do you think about that one?
I don't know, man. That's a tough one because I don't deal with the listing side, but then that comes down to price, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if people aren't coming to your listing or you're trying to price the property correctly to bring the competition or to bring the buyers or to bring the viewers, right? It's a strategic move. That's a sit down with the seller as to, hey, where do you need to be? Like before we even post a number, what are you looking to net out of this? As opposed to, here's my offer. It doesn't work that way, right? And that's the harder conversation that everyone's going to need to start having with their listings as to, yes, the market's done well, but here's kind of how things are going. You've made an X amount of dollars in potential profit here. Where are you at? I'm not saying I'm going to list my house at this price for you, but what is your number?
Yeah, pricing psychology is a thing. And you have to, if the competition is low, then you're going to set the market with what you want. But at the end of the day, if no one's biting on it, then the market is speaking to you. And it's, to me, I've always felt like, and I'm curious on what you think on this, just the wintertime listings, there's a need for you to sell, right? Because the ample amount of people that you would have in the spring and the summer, all that good stuff, would tell you just to wait. So if you're actually needing to list your house now, there's a need. So you have to be nimble, flexible enough. Maybe it's a relocation to a job. It doesn't have to be negative, but there's a need if you're putting your house on the market, especially in the Midwest wintertime.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? Because we always said too, after the Super Bowl is basically when we start listing homes, right? It just, it's just what it is, and so and if you turned around and list the house in December and January, you're probably going to list it for a little bit lower than what you saw your sales being in the end of the fall and what you saw in the spring. It's just part of what regionally happens in the Illinois market.
Yeah, let's stop real fast for housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, refinancing, or investing, call Epic today at 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, after the show, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight, and check out the most recent episode, and that's with Martha Allen. Martha Allen is a remarkable figure dedicated to guiding both established and aspiring couples on a transformative journey toward fulfilling relationships. Her approach centers on three key pillars: faith, finance, and foundation, offering couples the tools to build profound connection and clarity as they navigate life together. With over 40 years of experience as an inspirational speaker, Martha has helped countless couples plan their lives and weddings while strengthening their bonds. She is the author of several books on relationship dynamics and personal growth, and has traveled extensively as a keynote speaker, sharing her insights on building strong, resilient partnerships at conferences and events worldwide. Had a great conversation with Martha. Really, helps if you are a married person or you have a significant other. Great conversation to listen to on how to maintain a relationship throughout the years as you're constantly evolving. So check out Martha Allen. Obviously, if you do need a blueprint of the mortgage process or a playbook, check out the Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It's available on Amazon. The Ultimate Mortgage Guide is available on Amazon. And then we do have some preferred listings. We have Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Pretty soon on the book, he's going to be laying it out like an instant replay.
Well, I'm working, I'm already putting the ideas together for book number 2, man. I don't want to be a one-hit wonder.
Somewhere here in 2026.
It is coming. It is coming. I'm just, you gotta, when you're writing a book, you have to first have an idea of what you want to write about. Then you have to, get that outline dialed in and then plug and play. But it is the brain is thinking. The think tank is thinking. So we have 12673 Simbay Court and 12707 Simbay Court in Jacksonville, Florida. These are both 4-bed, 3-bath homes. One's going for $374,990, and the other is going for $378,990. Contact Charday Nix 904-520-8041. Both of these properties are new construction. We have 16029 Circle Drive, Markham, Illinois, going for $109,900. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. Contact Keith Terry, 773-655-1360. We have 412 North Ridgeland Avenue, Elmhurst, Illinois, going for $410,000. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. Contact Laretha Lowry, 708-670-8165. We have 13827 South Wentworth Avenue, Riverdale, Illinois, going for $150,000. We have a 5-bed, 2.5-bath. Contact Amico Pope, 312-600-7673. And then we have one condo, 548 East 50th Street, Unit 3, Chicago, Illinois, going for $269,900. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Contact Jessica Roberson at 708-518-8120. All those listings are available on my website at www.danteroyster.com. So you can check it out. Let's continue with these. We got a couple people. Please put all your comments, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Go ahead and just put your comments in. Any questions that you have. We appreciate you listening on today. We're touching about 6:01 today. So I really appreciate everyone listening today. Really appreciate you guys.
Boy, we went from 100 in the first 5 minutes to 600 in the first 40 minutes. And then, wow, we're doing something right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Brandon Turner, how important is timing when listing in the fall? I think time is very important. When are you going to do it? Obviously the sooner the better. I'm just a big believer. If I'm going to list a property, I do believe in that home inspection / general contractor, definitely listening, getting a report, right? You want to get an inspection report, see what's going on with the property, see if there's things that you can address, or at least that you're knowing of. So you never want to be surprised when, the buyer comes in and says, "Oh, well, something's, we had our inspection and this and this." You don't want to get kind of, surprised on what they're going to be saying. Whether you do the work or not, you kind of want to know what they're going to say. So you're like, okay, all right, well, that's already either been factored into the equation as what you're listing the price as, or you're ready to negotiate based upon that because you know the cost. There's too many times that I've seen it. I made this comment last week where I feel like, it's arbitrary numbers. Even from the buyer side or the seller side, it's like, oh, there's a leak in the faucet area. We see condensation coming from the ceiling. What's going on with that? I think it's going to be $2,500. It's like, what? Like, where'd you get that number? You might be, too high, too low. So I think it's important to really have professionals, whether it's a general contractor, a plumber, electrician, someone that really knows the numbers. So you're not underbidding the situation and addressing it.
Yeah, I want to hit one thing on the listings for the fall. Limit your extensions from your closing date. And here's what I mean by that. If you don't close your fall listing in time, it's now a winter listing. And then if it doesn't make it, it's now a new year. And what I'm getting at here is there isn't much time to recover if something goes wrong. So if something's supposed to close and now they're asking for one extension and then they're asking for another, there's something going on.
Yeah, it is. And I've been on both sides of that. I mean, I get it from, they're like, hey, first off, the realtors, right? The buying agents set up these contracts and they don't have conversations with us, the loan officer, and it drives me batty a little bit. It's like, can we talk about these dates? If I have an A paper person that's going to close on Friday and you want to give a mortgage contingency, right, which is basically a clear to close a week before the closing. Yeah, I'm 100% comfortable with, a paper deal, no brainer, a week before. But you're doing that on my 580 client. You're doing that on my 619 client. Like, can we have a conversation?
Can we talk about this? Right.
Yes. I mean, they put us, such under the gun sometimes. And then it makes us look bad because, oh, what's going on? And, a lot of times I'll say, hey, financial contingency. Yeah, we need an extension, but we don't need a closing extension, because those are two different things.
Two different things.
I'm going to land the plane on the time that was told, but I might not have that clear to close until the day before closing, but I'm going to hit that date, just relax. And there's so much, oh my God, what's wrong? No, sometimes someone asked me last week, I need a loan mortgage commitment. I was like, man, they still make those? Like, we don't mortgage loan commitments. I mean, my goodness, like how do you give a mortgage loan commitment when I said it's submitted for final approval? There is nothing. There is no outstanding conditions. I just need to clear to close.
Here's the CD.
Yes.
Right? Here's the CD. I'm sorry. I can't get you that because I'm still waiting on your attorney's final numbers to figure out what my bottom line is. You give me those figures, we can work on everything else, right? That should be part of the mortgage contingency. Give me the final figures before the mortgage contingency.
Hey, man, that's a great idea. I mean, how many times are we clear to close and we're waiting on everybody else now? I mean, there's been so many. Obviously, we're all guilty from our experiences, and so when we have these experiences, these bad experiences, we tend to there's so many nowadays, especially in Illinois. These attorneys don't even start working on these files until it's clear to close.
Right,
and it's like, man, you should have had this already. Well, I didn't really get moving until I heard we were going to get it clear. Then I started moving on it.
Yeah, well, I need to show the underwriter how much money they have, and we're using the credits, we're using the earnest money. We need the numbers, right? I need the insurance. I need that. So if you're a buyer and you're out there, if you have enough money to cover the down payment, make it easier on your loan officer, and just bring more money to the closing, and don't worry about the final figures.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are razor thin, and
Correct.
and so it's like I need to know to the cent. And I explained to somebody on Saturday. I was working on Saturday, and I said, hey, buying a house is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. I'm so sorry because you're used to buying a gallon of milk, and you go to the store and you see it's $4.39. You go get gas. You go buy a ticket. You go buy a car. But a house is one of the most it's the strangest thing to buy. There is so many unknowns on what is the cash to close. What was negotiated from a seller credit? What are the tax prorations? What are the title fees? Who's the title company? I mean, we just don't know any of these things on day one. May not know it on day 10. We finally may figure it out on day 20.
Or the 31st of every month.
Yes.
We figure it out, right? Because we got a loan closing on the 31st. We got a CD and we know a dollar amount.
I swear, real estate is the world of procrastinators. I mean, we step up at the last minute, man, miracles happen. Things move, mountains are lifted. It's like, my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Rob, what are some red flags to watch for in a fall negotiations?
I think we kind of touched a little bit on that. For me, it's about timing. And, the negotiation is what it's going to be. For me, it's about getting everything executed.
Yeah. I agree. Like I said, from the seller side, I feel like I recommend you guys really working with a contractor, working with a real estate agent, home inspector before you list the property, so And when you don't know that, I mean, that's when a lot of the guessing games come. You want to work with someone that's experienced. I think that's important too. I just think there's a lot of, everyone had to start somewhere, and I get that. I do understand that. I started somewhere and someone gave a chance on me, but just people that are really focused on the craft and doing the right things is just so important. So hopefully you can read the room and who you're working with. How do you see mortgage trends affecting Q1? I think he meant 26. Q1 26.
I'm sure he meant 26. We're gonna always have that problem. It's just we got a little earlier. I'm not really too. Again, I want to be careful with this because, right? Let me just go. The trends are friend, right? Right now, right? We know rates are going to go down. We know we're going to have more listings. We know we're going to have more transactions in 2026 than we had in 2025. But if you're not reaching out to your previous clients, there's really no reason of worrying about trends or what's going to happen in the marketplace because everyone still has to move or they have a goal of something that they need to do. So the trends are going to affect what the consumer decides to do. But if you don't know what your database needs to do, you're missing it. And I don't know if I answered that the right way, but it's just more of, I would use the last 6 weeks of the year and the first 2 weeks of the new year to reach out to people that bought a house in the last 5 years. They may not be ready to sell in 2026. They may be there in 2027.
I agree with the sentiment. The government shutdown to me is a serious thing. And it's interesting because right now, I would say a good stock of the majority of us, we haven't felt it. We haven't felt a single thing.
No,
to some degree, we don't even care what they're doing, and it was so important to get licensed in multiple states because you get a feel of different worlds. So talk to a Virginia realtor and you'll have a different tone. Talk to a Maryland loan officer and you'll have a different feel. So, the people that are close to it, they're affecting families and lives because, they're on furlough or they're working for free with an IOU. We don't see that in the Midwest and certainly in the West Coast and the South. We're not really getting the full glimpse of it. But what I say to that is a lot of economic reports are being held back. And since they're being held back, we don't know which way on the pendulum that would swing interest rates. And that's why it's important to move forward now. If you can either refinance, if you can buy an investment property, because I just, just how this always ends up working, I'm not Nostradamus. We'll see a spike. We'll see a knee-jerk reaction once the reports come in because the market has to interpret, is this good or bad? And since it's been quiet for such a period of time, the market will be more sensitive when it hears information. So we'll get the the rate will drop, right? Jerome Powell and the crew, October 28th and 29th. Yeah, of course, I'm assuming they're going to drop interest rates again. I assume that another eighth or a quarter of a point. That's already what they've kind of said with the beige book and all their information. But ultimately, once the new news comes out, once this government shutdown, we'll see. I think this will be the longest lasting one. I don't, my idea, this may carry through November even. I just think both sides are, kind of putting their heels in the ground type of thing. No one's really talking about this stuff. But and I think people need to feel it a little bit more, because the country is not feeling it. It's been regional based. So I think it's important to take advantage of the rates right now.
I got one thing to add on that. The reports, even when they come out, they're going to lag. So, what we get in numbers is still going to be off, because it doesn't really have the true effect of what the shutdown did. So
there you go.
We might not catch up until March or April in terms of what it felt like from an economic standpoint of being shut down, because we're going to have Christmas buying season, just from the consumer standpoint too, which will inflate that number. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I always, because nothing is ever straight down or straight up. There's always herky jerkies, just in the marketplace. So I just kind of imagine that, when this new information comes in, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, great, government shutdown's been all resolved. And then all of a sudden we're going to see, an uptick in interest rates, and everyone's going to freak out like, oh, because now we got all this new information. But to your point, it's actually old information that we're trying to collect and gather. How can sellers stand out when buyers are being selective?
I don't want to put everything to price, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
But that goes to the point, is that seller willing to take a little bit less to get what could potentially be multiple offers, or to get the price that, I aggressively priced my house to get it sold, not to maximize hoping I'm getting multiple offers. Again, I said earlier, the market is shifting, and if you go with those shifts, it may be easier to get the actual transaction complete.
I think the market reached a peak on purchase prices, and then they had to retract them and soften them. But if the rates continue to go down, then that they will push those peaks again.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those, we're in a, like you said earlier, we're in a very sensitive marketplace right now, from a buyer's market, seller's market. It's almost a day-to-day, month-to-month, look at it, because it just depends. But right now we're seeing a softening in values, nothing crazy, but just a softening. So that peak is, we kind of hit it, but we're seeing rates go down. So then they may want to push their luck again to see how high I can go. It depends on the area, though. We're so regional based nowadays, or neighborhood based. Because what one thing may be happening in Chicago might be different from Plainfield. From Plainfield to, Oak Park might look similar, but it'll be different than Park Forest. So it really kind of depends on where you live. I just named some neighborhoods, obviously, in the Chicagoland area, but it's the same, if we're going to talk about Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, some of these areas, it's going to vary slightly on the conversation. But I think standing out is seller credits, though.
Well, the seller credits always stand out, right? It's just part of the thing. But unfortunately, as a seller, you're not wanting to list the seller credits. You're willing to give them, but you want an offer in order to get that negotiation started. Another option, maybe put the seller credits out there first. Hey, here's my price. Here's what I'm willing to give you. At the end of the day, right? Everyone looking for something to negotiate. You need to get the conversation started.
Exactly. Yeah, any incentives, there was obviously in 21, right? You have to go back there with, houses were selling off the marketplace, but at the same time, there was like free TVs or, free furniture. You have to kind of really, put your best foot forward and incentivize some of these folks. Look at this house. This is ready to go. This could be your house.
And the other thing too, if your house is on the market and you're not getting offers, don't just drop it $5,000. That's not going to do it in this market. Yeah. I mean, if you're dropping 5, you probably need to drop 10.
Yeah. There might come in time where, it's always location, but you have to do some work to this house a little bit. That's another thing. These buyers that are coming here, they want to see high quality stuff, and not all of them are ready to do renovations. Some are, but others are looking for move-in ready stuff. So you have to be willing to really, spruce up that home a little bit better.
And remember, concessions have caps. You can only give a certain amount. They can't be like, here's $20,000, replace the floors. That doesn't work in the world of a concession.
It's like 2, 3, 4, 6 is
Correct.
what so 2% on an investor is the max you can do on a seller credit, 3% on conventional. If you're, isn't it conventional is 3 only if you're doing minimum down?
Yeah, so the 5%, the 3% is 3, but if you're putting 10%, you can get to 6. The same thing with FHA, you can get to 6 too, but it all depends. But again, if you're getting 6 points in concessions on an FHA deal, there has to be fees associated with that loan in order to use those concessions. And that goes with everything. So you don't just want the 6% in concessions if you can't use it all.
Correct. And our last question of the day, what mindset should agents have going into the winter session?
I'm going to let you answer that first because I'm getting a little drawn out with all that realtor question related.
It's awesome, man. Realtors are out here. Appreciate that. What mindset should agents have going to the winter session? I mean, I think it's and that's really one of the topics we were going to talk about today, but I think it's a great time to list your house. I think you'll get serious buyers that want to move. I mean, especially, obviously it depends on the area, but if you're in the Midwest, a buyer's out, he's serious. He or she is serious to buy this house.
If the Bears are playing on Sunday and it's snowing and I'm looking at a house, there's a serious buyer for you, right?
That's a serious buyer. And it's so funny because I used to always say, you're a rookie in real estate in the Midwest if you actually have an open house on a Bear Sunday. It's like, did you not get the memo? I mean, we did that home buyer seminar.
I was just going to go there to bust your chops.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, and she was, we ended up getting about 30 people. There was roughly about 30 people in there, but she was like, yeah, she was looking for like 50 to 60. She was really had all this food and everything catered, but I was like, the Bears play today, 12 o'clock. Like, just in the Midwest, especially in Chicagoland area. I mean, it's heavy focus on the Chicago Bears. That's the one thing we all are on the same page. We got a Cub fan on here. We got a Sox fan on here, but we all get along when it's talking about the Bears and trying to, win the second Super Bowl in our lifetime.
Yeah, easy, kid. I know you were just there and you had the family and we won, but it's easy. We still got some holes to fill.
We got some holes, but no, it's So I mean, obviously, going in, the mindset should be, hey, I can sell this house. You have to be aggressive with the pricing. I mean, sharp pricing is important. If there's any seller credits or any caveats that you can put into the negotiation, let the people know. I mean, obviously, one of the things would be real estate commissions are getting paid. I mean, there's some of these sellers want to experiment with, I heard I don't have to do it anymore. So they want to kind of play that game, but that goes on to the buyer side, and I saw a posting about that where, someone was upset that basically the real estate.
Someone walked away from the 3/4 of a point.
Yep.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's been floating around. I'm sure it's all the same one, right? We've all experienced it, right? There's no doubt about it. But it goes to the point of you can use seller concessions to make that offset work, right? And part of the whole NAR thing, and hey, and I don't want to put this as a dig. Realtors, you guys are great. You guys stick together. You have a very strong lobby in terms of where your commissions are or where things change, is how much you're getting paid per transaction, what the percentage is. This change is basically like what TRID was for us. It's now TRID for realtors. And the biggest way to fix this, to make the offers the most aggressive, is to work with the loan officer earlier in the pre-approval process from the way and the standpoint of, well, what do I have available as a down payment? What happens if I can't get the seller to pay my commission? Vince, Dante, how can we structure this loan to make things work? And that way you know what to be asking for. I've seen a lot of these broker commission things or the buyer agreements that you need to sign, and maybe the rules have changed, but in the beginning it was, I can't go under what I've already asked for. So if we sign at 2, but I can get 3, I can't go get the 3. I'm stuck at the 2. So everyone's going to ask for the highest possible percentage, and you're going to go from there. At a certain point in time, they're going to realize that that needs to change when they re-amend all these new rules, just like they did to us when, hey, you can't get paid from the lender and the borrower. So just keep that all in mind when you're getting into that negotiation. But yeah, the consumer's starting to push back a little bit on those fees,
which is good, as they should. I mean, right now, they to some degree we could say they've been taken advantage of because they're unfamiliar with these rules, and so the ones that are signing because they want to buy a house don't realize that they could have negotiated or pushed back on some of those fees, which is another topic for another day. But we did it, my man. We did an hour. Epic Lunch and Learn in the books, episode 44. Appreciate everyone. I mean, 603 people listening is just tremendous. It's awesome. Thank you. And hopefully we gave you some insight. We'll be back tomorrow. Vince, you here tomorrow?
I am supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm supposed to be here all week.
Okay.
Wednesday may be questionable.
Okay.
I got an ask for the audience if possible. I'm just going to start a new project in 2026. I started a Facebook business page called Let It Rip with Vince, and I need to get to 100 followers in order to do Facebook Live. So if anybody feels like it, go ahead, look at it. It's called Let It Rip with Vince. It's not mortgage related. It will be about being on disability and what that looks like. But that's a project that is going to start next year. So if you can, help me get to 100.
That would be awesome if everyone can get to Facebook and look up Let It Rip with Vince, right? Let It Rip. Yeah, let's all show some support with the Epic community. If we can show some support for Vince and his new endeavor in 2026. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be me and Vince, and we should have a guest on. So we'll get into some conversations and we'll take it from there.
Thanks for the 600 views. Everyone have a good day.
Yeah, take care.